Greetings, Assalamu alaikum. Hajj Abdul-Malik Bey here, and today I want to do a deep dive into a topic of Ethiopianism and Al-Islam. That's Islam and Ethiopianism. And the title of the program is called "Leave the Abyssinians Alone," which is an English paraphrase of what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said to his followers, the early Muslims that were his followers. It was an admonishment that he gave to his followers, not that there was any problem, but just an admonishment to avoid any unnecessary conflict or dissension with the people of Ethiopia or the Ethiopian people. And the word that he used for the Abyssinians or Ethiopians was the Habashi, which is, correlates to Abyssinian, and even properly today in Ethiopia, the people refer to themselves as the Habesha. So, it was an admonishment that he gave to the people regarding the special regard in which he held the Ethiopianism. And like I said, the word Habashi, which he used at that time, it changed in later times, but at that time, his time, which is the most definitive Islamic time, the word Habashi was used. And that was a term that not only pertained to those people in the country that we know today as Ethiopia, but it also pertained to and the Aksumite kingdom of that time specifically, but it extended also collectively to all so-called black African people. And so we'll start with that, and I also want to do another translated quote of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And this was the directive that he gave to his followers when they were under severe persecution and oppression in Mecca, and they were on the verge of being wiped out, destroyed, crushed by their enemies, who were the rulers of Mecca at that time, the tribe of Quraysh, the ruling tribe of Quraysh, a tribe that of pagan worshipers who, even though the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was definitely related to them, he was not a part of them in terms of their beliefs and practices. So here we're gonna start off with another quote from the Prophet, translated into English. It goes thusly: "If only you were to leave for Abyssinia, as therein lies a king in front of whom no one is oppressed. It's a land of truth until Allah relieves you of what has befallen you." And that was the prophetic wisdom and enlightened inspiration of our prophet that he gave his followers, 88 of them specifically, to flee their persecution in Mecca, to find asylum and refuge in Africa, in the Aksumite kingdom that we know today as Ethiopia. So before I go any further, I want to talk about the modern day state of Ethiopia. I want to do a little Ethiopian history. The modern day nation state of Ethiopia, formerly, as we said, referred to at times as Abyssinia or Habesha, is a country of over 100 million people. It's located in the Nile Valley Horn of East Africa, and it has long been held, especially throughout the African world, as a glorious beacon of hope and light, a symbol of anti-colonial resistance. Ethiopia has never been colonized. It's the only African country that was never been colonized. It's a proud point in their history, not only for them, but for all Africans. And also, too, it's been kind of looked upon as a universal type of capital for African people throughout the world because of its rich legacy. It has the distinct role of being a founder and host of the African Union, of today's African Union, organization of all African nations, promoting unity and cooperation. And that organization, the African Union, was, of course, the offshoot, the revising of the original Organization of African Unity, um, which was founded by the late emperor and last royal ruler last monarch of Ethiopia, the Haile Selassie, and also other African leaders, most prominently Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. And this is what led to the whole African independence movement. And yeah, well, that was the organization, and that was its mission, to bring about African independence and unity. And the African Union, as well as the former OAU, which Malcolm X based his own organization off of, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Its own. It's the seat of that organization is located in the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. And like I said before, not only in the African world, but globally, even beyond the African world, it is universally recognized. Ethiopia is universally recognized as one of the world's great and most ancient civilizations. It's, like I said before, its last royal dynasty came to its ruled the country up until 1975, 50 years ago. And that royal dynasty claims its descent and lineage from the prophetic messianic bloodline of the prophet King Suleiman and the Queen of Sheba, or Saba more properly. And most often, and getting back to Ethiopianism as a concept and a movement, it is most often thought of as a Afrocentric Judeo-Christian church concept and movement that had its origins during the early 19th century, and really here in America. It had its roots with the founding, at least some of its roots, maybe its earliest roots, with the founding of the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York, where some Ethiopian sea merchants found themselves on the shores of America, and they collaborated with so-called black people here, and built a church, because of course they were not going to be accepted into the the church of the colonialists. And so that church still exists today. It's one of the great historic churches and powerful churches in America, and that relationship between the two countries still exists, by way of that church. So very interesting. We'll might get into that some other time. But today's focus is on Islam and Ethiopianism, and it's like I said, it's it's always viewed in the context of the church and of the religious, the Christian religious and Judeo-Christian religious history. But Ethiopianism, if we want to call it that, actually also has roots in Islam, and it is a very powerful one, in which Ethiopianism or Ethiopia is a real pillar and cornerstone of Al-Islam, because it was there that like we cited earlier, that the Prophet Muhammad sent his followers when they were under the worst form of persecution in Mecca, and that actually ended up saving the struggling community, and it saved them, and it became a turning point for them actually becoming victorious, not victims, but victors. And they was just 2 years. It preceded the greater migration that they took to Medina, where the Muslims were able to establish themselves as a state in Arabia. And but before that, it was Ethiopia that the Muslims went to. They made two migrations there before, 2 years before they made the greater migration to to Medina, which is the turning point of Islamic history. That's the point at which the Muslims to this day start their calendar with that great event, the Great Migration to Medina. So we want to talk about Ethiopia, and it held a very special place. I think it needs to be talked about more often. I think it needs to be brought more to the forefront, and we'll hopefully this will help to do that. Now, also too, that like I said, this is so key, and one of the reasons I think this is so important today is that there's a lot of misnomers, a lot of anti-propaganda, and just plain old ignorance regarding Islam and Islam in Africa and how it was introduced to Africa, and it's a lot of nonsense being stated, and we want to clear it up that what I'm talking about right now, this subject matter, is the introduction of Islam into Africa, and it was a very divine and beautiful thing that you will of course be witnessing, that you might not witness, but that you'll hear about, and it's undeniable. So like I said, the Muslims were able to return to from Ethiopia to Medina. They all met up in Medina, the followers that stayed behind with the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the ones that went to Abyssinia, they all met up in Medina, and that's where they became powerful, victorious, and then they were later to come back into Mecca, victorious there as well, and that was how Islam was established and spread in Arabia and quickly throughout the rest of the known world at that time. Now, again, the particular of this migration we're focusing on today is the inspired connection between the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and specifically the king of Ethiopia, or the emperor of Ethiopia, the Lion of Judah, as they referred to him. This particular king, his name comes down to us as Ashama to the Muslims, and Arabic as we know his name to be. He's sometimes called by his title, Najashi, or Negus, and in both Arabic and Ethiopian records, he's sometimes referred to and recognized as Ella Saham. So you can see there's a kind of closeness between the name Ella Saham and Ashama. And this was in the year 620 CE that this migration and connection was actually made. And so we want to look further into this. We won't be able to do it all today. This is a massive topic of great importance, and we want to treat it with due respect. So we're going to follow up this video and look into the experience of the actual experience, look further into the actual experience of the Muslim refugees in Ethiopia. And we want to look at the bonding relationship between its ruler, Ashama, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. May Allah be pleased with Ashama. And we also want to look into something very interesting as well, the very close and intimate connections and relationships that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had with the Abyssinians, the Habashi, the Ethiopians throughout his life, from the time of his birth all the way until his earthly departure. So a lot in store here, a very under acknowledged history here, and and we're going to talk about also the Harare province in Ethiopia, which is considered like the fourth holiest city in Islam after Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem. So a lot here, and look forward to exploring it with you and learning about this golden legacy. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you soon. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.